Certainly, it's the right decision, most importantly for the United States. We don't need to escalate. We don't need another war in the Middle East. So I'm glad that we're going down this road. I wish the president would actually lay out a better plan than just increasing sanctions. That's not going to solve the problems that we have in the Middle East. And also, we have to remember, we wouldn't be in this situation if the president hadn't overreacted and we were entirely dependent on basically Iran deciding whether to de-escalate versus us actually not being in the situation in the first place.
As an Iraq War veteran, if you wouldn't mind me asking you for a few questions from that perspective, walk us through. You're watching these breaking news reports presumably last night, just like the rest of us. You have intimate knowledge. You've been in and out of Al-Assad air base there. What kind of struck you as jumping out? Was there a lot of kind of knee-jerk reactions? What was the kind of your settled sense as the story was developing?
As the story was developing, I think a lot of people thought that this was a provocation that would lead us to war. I was actually hoping the opposite, that this was a deliberate targeting by Iran on a big base with a lot of warning that would allow both the United States service members to take cover, but for Iran to actually say, well, we struck back, quote unquote. I believe that's what the intention was. It seems like that's also what this administration believes happened. And in that regard, this could be really good because it helps us de-escalate this situation that was getting fairly heated.
So pardon me for some of these ignorant questions, but you and I were just talking off air a few moments ago about these ballistic missiles. Maybe talk to us for our viewers who do not have the background that you do. Once you see that, that indicates to you what? I mean, what are people on the ground aware of once they learn that?
Well, first, the proximity for where Al-Assad is, it's actually not very close to any actual cities. If I remember correctly, the nearest city is about 25 miles away. It's a big base in the middle of the desert. So the fact that they were using missiles that were launched from Iran tells you a couple things. Number one, that they knew that we would see that because of our satellite capability and also just intelligence gathering capability. And then that would give enough leeway time for us to warn our troops for them to go take shelter in Al-Assad. And Al-Assad is very massive. It's about the size of Boulder, Colorado. And there's, it literally has its own bus system within that base. And they have shelters all over the place.
What do you want the president to know about this? Because despite the fact this may be, to some degree, a proxy battle between U.S. and Iran, you are an Iraq War veteran. Much of what we've already seen transpire is happening in Iraq. What do you want the president to know about how things have gone the last few years?
I think, that this is not a victory by any means. The goal of Iran has always been to basically push us out of the Middle East and make sure that Iraq becomes a proxy state. 2 weeks ago, Iraqis were in the streets protesting against the Iraqi government and the Iranian influence on the Iraqi government. And now those protesters are turned against us. So we may have, quote unquote, won because we're not escalating into a war. But in terms of the strategic point of view, what happens in the next couple of weeks with Iraq and what happens with who has more favorable opinion among the Iraqi street, I think matters too.